Nobody could predict that this dude would be sitting on trial for his life. It just wasn't in the cards.
That's the one. I think that we just got caught up. I think we all got caught up in a moment. We was talking about it and having secret meetings.
The FBI didn't just leak a couple of names. They unleashed a full-blown roster. We're talking A-listers, legacy brands, cultural powerhouses, and now they're gone, vanished, evaporated from the scene like smoke in the wind. As soon as rumors hit that Diddy's release wasn't an if but a when, Hollywood hit the panic button. Private jets launched from Van Nuys and Teterboro under the cover of darkness. Stories were scrubbed, burner phones fired up, handlers frantically secured last-minute flights to Dubai, Switzerland, even remote corners of West Africa. This isn't a plot twist, it's not symbolism, it's happening. The exodus is real.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I...
And this isn't just panic, it's guilt, fear, regret, raw self-preservation. Because whether you were in Diddy's inner circle or just a familiar face at one of his infamous parties, his shadow touched everything. For decades, he was the culture, the gatekeeper, the kingmaker. Now, that shadow is stretching wider than ever. With the split verdict and his release on bail looming, insiders claim Diddy's been digging deep, reviewing tapes, names, phone calls, receipts, footage stashed years ago, handwritten notes, anonymous testimonies collected by the private investigators he kept on retainer like insurance policies. Hollywood isn't just running from a scandal. They're running from a man they once toasted, protected, and called family.
Also, too, his sons are actually involved in the music industry, to which before he was arrested, his son made a rap song really questioning the federal government, really questioning potential witnesses to go forward against his father. So when you tie all those things together, you look at the social media dynamic, the social currency.
The FBI leak just blew the lid off, and the names involved are nothing short of explosive. Jay-Z? He's not just enjoying wine in the south of France. Insiders claim he's laying low, preparing for possible damage control if Diddy starts dropping names. This isn't a vacation, it's a strategy. Jennifer Lopez? Word is she made a quiet, almost ritualistic trip to Mexico. She was spotted near a secluded spiritual compound in Oaxaca, far from the spotlight, far from the chaos. Usher? He vanished mid-Vegas run. One day he's on stage, the next, gone. His team calls it a scheduled break, others are calling it a calculated retreat. But the real mystery? Justin Bieber. He's gone radio silent. No press, no posts, no publicist statements, yet an anonymous source claims he was seen boarding a jet in Vancouver. Destination? Unknown. It's no longer just a leak. It's an exodus. And it's happening in real time.
That was all the people that went to the Puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Got punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there because they get fluid. And next thing you know, once you go fluid, it's gone.
What are they so scared of? What does Diddy have on them? Or is the real question, what did they allow to happen when the cameras weren't rolling? The buzz now isn't just about the trial, it's about the so-called revenge list. That's what insiders are calling it. A hand-curated dossier Diddy's kept since the late 2000s. The betrayals, the ones who cut ties when things got sticky, the quiet denials, the public disassociations, the whispers to prosecutors. One former assistant claims that Diddy once told him,
"A man who forgets who ran when the bullets flew deserves to meet me again when I'm holding the gun."
B may have meant it metaphorically, maybe, but the chill behind the words still hits hard. Now that Diddy's got the time, the resources, and the motive, that so-called list might not stay metaphorical much longer. People forget, this wasn't just about champagne and velvet ropes. These parties were productions, curated, controlled, and calculated. Reputations were made and quietly destroyed. Witnesses have described rituals that sound more like hazing than Hollywood, twisted initiation games, secret rooms with no cameras, phones locked in pouches, and instructions whispered behind soundproof doors. And still, people came back, over and over again. For what? Fame, power, leverage. Because once you're inside that world, walking away means more than just missing the next big event. It means risking everything.
I get it. So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head.
Terrence Howard was the first to break ranks months ago, and most people missed it. On a podcast, he dropped a story that sounded surreal, like a half-remembered nightmare, until you realize it fits a much larger pattern. He said Diddy invited him over under the guise of acting lessons, but when he showed up, there were no scripts, no direction, no coaching, just Diddy sitting, staring. Terrence said the most unsettling part wasn't what was said, it was the silence, the lack of purpose, the way Diddy just watched him like he was being measured for something. It wasn't a lesson. It wasn't even about acting. It was a test, a power move, a quiet play for control.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the
Hell
consequences
yeah.
when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay.
Terrence didn't bite. He walked out, and now he's speaking up. His warnings about the men who give up the man card at Diddy's parties, they're not just cheap shots. They're confessions disguised as caution signs. He put it bluntly. Once you do that, you go fluid. And once you go fluid, it's gone. What he's really saying is this. Once you surrender to that world, you lose something deeper than dignity. You lose yourself. And judging by the panic, the silence, the private jet skipping town, some of them are only realizing that now, when it's already too late.
Will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there, just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He was like, I think he's trying to fuck you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication.
It's not just the men. Multiple sources say female celebrities have paid their dues at these parties, sometimes literally, sometimes in the form of silence. Other is allegedly traded something far deeper, their image, their innocence, their autonomy, as Terrence put it.
They have their Oscar, their money, but they don't have the soul they started with.
Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers come in to make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept.
And if you think this is all just cryptic talk or abstract philosophy, think again. Ray J, yes, that Ray J, just dropped a bombshell in a recent documentary. He claimed that high-profile celebrities have been quietly reaching out to alleged victims of Diddy's infamous freak-offs, not to offer apologies, but to offer payouts. Hush money, before the subpoenas hit. He didn't name names, he didn't need to. The message was loud and clear. Some of the most famous faces in music and Hollywood are in full-blown panic mode, terrified that their involvement or even their proximity might be dragged into the light. One investigator went even further, claiming Diddy had his homes rigged with hidden cameras, tucked inside mirrors, fixtures, even speaker systems, mansions wired like movie sets. If that's true, then those tapes aren't just evidence, they're leverage, they're currency, and in the wrong hands, they're a weapon more explosive than anything in a courtroom.
I've lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise, I don't play the role. I don't kiss a man, I don't do that because the man card means everything.
I had no idea we're going to go this direction with the podcast.
Cat Williams tried to warn us months ago. The comedian didn't just drop jokes, he dropped a warning. In his words, 2024 would be the year all the deviants catch hell. And now, it's sounding more like prophecy than punchline. Cat said he turned down $50 million 4 separate times just to keep his soul intact. Why? Because, as he put it, P. Diddy be wanting a party, and you gotta tell him no. Back then, people laughed. Now, they're listening. Because Cat wasn't exaggerating, he was handing out a survival manual. Even Usher, who once lived with Diddy as a teen, has walked back his praise. He once called the parties at Puffy's compound wild, curious, and crazy. But when someone asked if he'd ever send his own kids there, he didn't even blink. Hell no. That clip's been floating around the internet for weeks now, just another loose thread unraveling the whole mess. And then there's the whisper network around Justin Bieber. Multiple former execs claim Diddy took an unsettling interest in mentoring the young star, lavishing him with sugary Instagram posts, flying him out on private trips, scheduling private performances, all with one thing notably missing: women. Even Suge Knight of all people went on record to say Bieber could have been bigger than Michael Jackson, if not for what was allegedly allowed to happen. That's where we'll leave it for now.
Yeah, you're gonna hate me for that, I know. Yeah.
Why did you say no?
I didn't say no.
You didn't say yeah?
I didn't say yeah.
The pattern is impossible to ignore. Diddy, it's alleged, preyed on ambition, offering fame, protection, and powerful connections, but none of it came free. The price? Sometimes emotional, sometimes physical, often spiritual. For those who accepted the offer, who walked through the mansion doors and traded silence for comfort, the reckoning isn't theoretical anymore, it's here. As the music fades and lawsuits pile up, the old guard of the industry is starting to realize something chilling. The empire they helped build may have been founded not on talent or timing, but on rituals masquerading as parties. Now, the walls are closing in. Some are fleeing, some are lawyering up, and a few, just a few, are finally coming clean. Because the so-called revenge list, it's not a myth. It's real, it's active, and sources say it's longer than anyone ever imagined. These weren't just parties, they were battlegrounds. That's how one former bodyguard described Diddy's infamous freak-offs, gatherings allegedly hosted for years behind the ornate doors of his Los Angeles and Miami mansions. Celebrities showed up expecting 5-star treatment, private chefs, imported wines, whispered exclusivity, but by morning, some were left sorting through the wreckage of something far more sinister. Guest lists from those nights, reportedly recovered during the federal raids back in March, weren't just rosters, they were red flags. Singers, actors, models, billionaires. And now, with Diddy's release approaching, those names are being guarded like state secrets, not out of loyalty, out of fear.
One, I didn't have a big brother, and my dad wasn't there in my life as a kid. So all these experiences just readied me for life.
Multiple insiders are now saying the unthinkable out loud. These events weren't just filmed, they were meant to be filmed. Hidden cameras tucked inside mirrors, air vents, even the furniture. It wasn't just surveillance, it was a system. Some say it was about leverage, others control. But if even a fraction of it is true, then this was never about luxury or indulgence. It was infrastructure, a machine built to ensure silence through exposure. Which raises the real question, was loyalty earned or extorted? Whispers about a mysterious upstairs room in Diddy's LA mansion have circulated for years. A room locked from the inside, guests called it the vault. According to one former employee, this wasn't just a nickname, it was literal. He claims that inside were shelves of hard drives, each labeled, cataloged, and sorted by year and by face. None of this has been officially confirmed, of course, but look around. How many celebrities have suddenly gone quiet? How many powerful names have left the country without a word? At this point, does it really need to be confirmed?
So greater than just being an artist, that man helped me understand life. He helped me understand what it was to be an artist. He helped me understand what it was to be passionate about something.
One veteran producer told us, you didn't say no to Diddy's invitation. If you said no, you weren't working that year. So people came, some stayed 10 minutes, others stayed till the sun came up, but everyone remembers the shift, that eerie moment when the energy turned, when things stopped being playful and started getting strange. That's when the phones vanished, that's when the contracts appeared. Multiple sources now confirm what's long been whispered. NDAs were required. Some guests were even asked to sign them mid-party. after the tone had already changed. But let's be clear, it wasn't the paperwork that kept mouths shut. It was the fear. Not everyone ran, some are doing the opposite. In recent weeks, we've seen a sudden wave of celebrities stepping forward, issuing carefully crafted statements of support, old collaborators posting nostalgic throwbacks, former partners calling for respect and due process. But the question hangs in the air. Is this loyalty or fear in disguise? Solidarity or self-preservation?
You mentioned L.A. Reid sent you to New York and you live with P. Diddy. They call it Flavor Camp.
Flavor Camp, yeah.
So what was that experience like and how did that help?
Take Mary J. Blige. She hasn't been named in any investigation, not even close, but her recent social media post suggests there's more beneath the surface than just nostalgia. One in particular caught fans' attention, a photo of her and Diddy from 2005, captioned only with the broken heart emoji and the word forever. Then there's French Montana, who's taken a very different approach. He's been vocal in defending his longtime mentor, repeatedly calling the situation a setup during live streams and interviews. But what about the ones who aren't saying anything? We reached out to more than a dozen known associates. Most declined to comment, a few sent back cryptic one-liners. One simply replied, "This town runs on silence." And then there's Terrence Howard, whose spiral has been as surreal as it is revealing. His interview with Patrick Bet-David didn't just stir the pot, it blew the lid off a conversation Hollywood's been trying to bury for decades. Howard didn't just accuse Diddy of making a pass, he called out an entire system, one where fame and fortune are granted not on merit, but in exchange for submission, silence, or worse. He recounted a story. Diddy asked him to come over for acting lessons, but when he showed up, there was no script, no direction, just long, uncomfortable stares, an energy that felt more like a setup than a lesson. When Howard told his assistant, they said flat out, "I think he's trying to f*** you." But the most damning part of Terrence's remarks wasn't about himself, it was about what he's seen others give up. When you give up your manhood, he said, I've never seen someone recover from it. He talked about celebrities, men and women, who traded dignity for access, who earned their trophies, their wealth, their fame, but lost their souls along the way. And judging by the synchronized silence coming from many A-listers right now, maybe he's not wrong. Meanwhile, rumors about initiation rites at Diddy's parties are only growing louder. Multiple former dancers, assistants, and insiders describe moments that feel less like parties and more like rituals. Guests being blindfolded, led through strange ceremonies, told to perform acts to prove loyalty. Some were allegedly filmed, some were allegedly threatened. Others offered record deals or luxury cars not long after. And in a few chilling cases, those who refused the ritual were reportedly blacklisted from the industry entirely. The deeper this goes, the clearer it becomes. This wasn't just about power, it was about control.
And look, Justin is a fragile guy, and I don't think that's, I don't think that's a secret. I mean, we've seen that over the years. He was, great at a point and then just went downhill, came back up, went downhill again. So it does yo-yo. But what we're being told is, he's almost...
Is that why we haven't heard from certain names in years? Could it be that saying no to Diddy wasn't just a career decision, but a sentence to exile? We can't ignore the mounting questions surrounding Justin Bieber. Those old videos showing him as a teen spending 48 hours straight with Diddy keep resurfacing, and each time they do, they spark more unsettling questions. Who was really in control during those early years? In one clip, Diddy says he's having the time of his life, but was Bieber? Former label reps who once couldn't stop talking about the young star are suddenly silent. And while Bieber himself has stayed tight-lipped, one close source recently said he's not ready to speak, but the day may come. Then came the bombshell from Suge Knight, who flat out claimed Bieber was exploited by grown men during the early stages of his career, that he was introduced to substances, situations, and people no young artist should ever face. The allegations remain unverified, but they've lit a fire under long-held suspicions about who knew, who allowed it, and who stayed quiet. And then there's Ally Carter. Once brushed off as an internet conspiracy, her story is now being viewed through a far more serious lens. Ali claims she was trafficked through the entertainment industry as a minor, not invited to Diddy's events, but delivered to them. Not as a guest, but as a pawn. She called them satanic ritual orgies, not parties. Many still dismiss her story as too extreme to be true. But with everything coming to light, the raids, the tapes, the silence, people are beginning to ask a different question. If even half of what she says is real, what else has this industry covered up?
Even Ray J, in a moment of either raw courage or reckless impulse, let the truth slip. He admitted that multiple high-profile celebrities have reached out to him, terrified. According to Ray, some are already paying hush money to victims in a frantic attempt to keep their names out of the courtroom spotlight. I don't even know why I said it, I just did, he confessed. But the damage was done. He didn't name names, he didn't have to. In Hollywood, silence is a language, and Ray J just broke protocol. What we're witnessing isn't just scandal, it's the slow public rot of an empire, crumbling from the inside out. Diddy's trial may have ended in a split verdict, but the aftershocks are still rocking the industry. His upcoming sentencing could lock him away for years, or it could mark the start of a very different chapter. Because here's the question no one wants to ask. What happens if Diddy walks out of that cell? Not humbled, but ready to talk. What happens when the man with the keys to the kingdom decides to burn the whole castle down? Who survives? Who gets named? Who scrambles to cut a deal before the spotlight swings their way? But maybe Diddy won't talk. Not to prosecutors, not to the press. What if the real plan isn't confession, but conquest? Multiple insiders are floating a theory that's as unsettling as it is plausible. Diddy isn't planning a retreat, he's planning a reset. Not a comeback, despite the allegations, but one fueled by them. In today's upside-down world, where controversy breeds clicks and infamy is a form of influence, Diddy may not see himself as disgraced at all. He may see himself as the phoenix, scorched but rising. Some industry veterans say they've seen this story before. Not at this scale, not under this kind of federal heat, but the pattern is familiar. A powerful man cornered, his empire under siege, and instead of backing down, he gathers what remains: loyalists, leverage, blackmail, and prepares for a counterattack. There are already whispers that Diddy has begun reaching out through intermediaries, not to make amends, but to remind people. To remind them who benefited, who watched, who cheered, and that some debts haven't been paid. Some believe his shift toward religion or mentorship is part of the plan, a calculated move to project authority, influence, even salvation. But don't be fooled by the photo ops or forced smiles, because the real threat isn't what Diddy might say, it's what he might do. With lawsuits piling up and sentencing looming, there's a strategic advantage in pivoting from accused to aggressor, reframing the narrative, pressuring people who can't afford their own skeletons being unearthed. That's how a wounded king reclaims his crown, not through redemption, through fear.
And the most dangerous question right now isn't whether Diddy will fade into infamy. It's whether he's about to flip the script, turning notoriety into power, controversy into capital. Because if he can't be loved, he can still be feared. And in certain corners of the industry, that's more valuable than anything.
It is the most clear cry for help that Justin Bieber has posted. And he's been posting a lot of things that you've heard fans that they're very alarmed and they think that he needs to get help. But this one there's nothing cryptic about it. Justin posted a message to everyone who's concerned about him, I guess. He said, "People keep telling me to heal. Don't you think if I could have fixed myself, I would have already?"
And so we're left with one final chilling question. What happens when a man who's lost everything decides he wants it all back? Not the fame, not the flash, but the power. The kind of power that makes people snap to attention when his name shows up on a call sheet or a guest list. The kind that weathers scandals, survives accusations, and keeps breathing even after convictions. If Diddy is gearing up for war, then Hollywood's reckoning isn't behind us. It's just getting started. Because as the countdown to his release begins, one thing has become disturbingly clear. Hollywood isn't just afraid of what Diddy did, they're afraid of what he knows. But here's the question we're putting to you. If Diddy really has the receipts, if the tapes, the names, the secrets are real, who's most at risk? And who's already slipped out the back door before the storm hits? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this isn't over. It's only the beginning. Stay sharp, stay curious, and we'll catch you in the next one.